Love after 60. Number one way to cuddle with a man to make him addicted. Secret psychology of intimacy.
Welcome to Wise Life After 60. So grateful to have you here. Love after 60, dating after 60, and life after 60 teach us something that youth never could. Intimacy is not built in moments of excitement, but in moments of stillness. I've seen many women rest in a man's arms the way you rest in a chair at the end of the day, turning everything off, letting the moment pass, trusting that closeness will simply take care of itself. But there is a quiet truth most people never hear. The way you cuddle is not neutral. It is not passive. It is a language. And whether you realize it or not, that language shapes what a man feels when he is with you and what lingers inside him after you are gone. Many believe connection comes from passion, from intensity, from doing more. Yet the deepest bonding happens when the noise fades, when your guard softens, and when his armor finally loosens. That is when male intimacy psychology quietly awakens, and how men bond emotionally truly begins. Men may seem simple on the surface, but emotionally they are careful creatures. A man does not invite just anyone into his personal space. When he allows you to rest beside him without expectation or performance, he is offering something rare. He is opening the door to his emotional home. How to cuddle with a man, how to build emotional connection, and how to touch a man are not about technique. They are about awareness, presence, calm energy, and emotional intelligence. If this conversation feels meaningful to you, I invite you to gently support the channel by liking this video and subscribing to Wise Life After 60. It helps us continue sharing quiet wisdom for this season of life. And if this message touches something personal inside you, I hope you'll stay with me. And before we ever talk about arms, closeness, or cuddling at all, there is one invisible thing that decides whether intimacy deepens or quietly fades.
1. The energy you bring before touch. Most women believe intimacy begins the moment two bodies come together. But in Love After 60, I've learned that closeness begins earlier than that, often in the quiet seconds before any touch happens at all. A man feels you before he feels your arms around him. Here is something rarely said out loud. When your energy carries need, when it silently searches for reassurance or comfort, a man's body responds before his mind does. He may still hold you, but somewhere inside his muscles tighten, his breath changes. Not because he doesn't care, but because male intimacy psychology is deeply alert to emotional pressure. There is a subtle but powerful difference between wanting a man and needing him. Wanting says, I enjoy you. Needing says, I require you to feel okay. In dating after 60, this difference becomes impossible to hide. When your presence feels self-contained, your closeness feels like a gift. When it feels dependent, even gentle touch can create tension. Many women unconsciously fall into a man's space, as if closeness happens automatically. But true intimacy asks for awareness. You enter his space not as someone searching for safety, but as someone choosing connection. That choice changes everything. The message your body sends matters. When your energy says, I desire you, but also, I do not need you to complete me, a man feels respected, he feels trusted, he feels free to relax. This is where how men bond emotionally begins, long before hands settle or arms wrap around each other. In life after 60, intimacy becomes quieter and more honest. Senior love advice often focuses on technique, but emotional intelligence reminds us that presence is the true beginning. How to cuddle with a man in a way that creates attachment starts with who you are being, not what you are doing. And when presence comes before contact, touch no longer asks for anything. It simply offers.
2. Activating his protective instinct. Safety is not something a man thinks about. It is something his body decides. Long before he forms words like connection or attachment, his nervous system is already answering one quiet question. Am I at ease here, or do I need to stay alert? In love after 60, this question matters more than passion ever did. When the first point of contact is thoughtful, when it meets him where he already feels grounded, something inside him softens without effort. That is why the shoulder matters. It is masculine, stable, and familiar. Touching there first does not demand anything. It says, I am here with you. I once noticed how different a man's breathing became when a woman rested her head gently against his shoulder instead of reaching immediately for his chest. Her weight settled slowly. Her body trusted him before asking for closeness. She let out a soft breath, the kind you don't force, the kind that tells the body it can stand down. Without realizing it, he adjusted his posture, his arm tightening just enough to hold her, not restrain her. This is male intimacy psychology at work. When you nuzzle lightly, when you allow your head to rest rather than cling, you communicate trust without words. A man feels it instantly. His instinct is not to pull away, but to protect the calm that has just entered his space. In that moment, he is no longer wondering what to do next. He is simply there. This is how men bond emotionally begins, not through intensity, but through peace. Breath plays a quiet role here. A slow, audible exhale tells the primitive brain something important. You are safe enough to relax. When a man senses that he is the reason your body softens, he wants to remain in that place of ease. This is not a strategy, it is biology meeting emotion. How to cuddle with a man in this way is less about closeness and more about creating a feeling he wants to preserve. Dating after 60 becomes simpler when safety replaces effort. Let me ask you something gently. Have you ever felt the difference between being held and being truly settled into someone's arms? I'd love to hear what that felt like for you. If you feel comfortable, share it in the comments. Your experience may speak to someone else who needs it. And once safety has taken root, the body becomes ready for something more intimate, not rushed, not uncertain, but guided.
3. Slow touch and confident guidance. Uncertainty is far more unsettling to a man than intimacy itself. Even gentle touch can create tension when it feels unsure, rushed, or hesitant. In love after 60, I've learned that confidence does not need to be loud. It simply needs to be clear. A man reads touch the way he reads direction. When your hands freeze or cling awkwardly, his mind begins to work. He wonders where to place his hands, how much closeness is welcome, whether he might cross an invisible line. That quiet guessing pulls him out of the moment, and once the mind takes over, the body follows. Slow touch changes that conversation entirely. Slowness tells him you are present. It tells him you are not anxious. It tells him you know where you are going. In male intimacy psychology, slow movement signals confidence far more than intensity ever could. Quick movements feel like nervous energy. Slow movements feel intentional. There is a reason the inside of the arm carries such weight in how to touch a man. It is sensitive, intimate, and close to the heart without being invasive. When touch explores rather than grabs, when it moves with curiosity rather than urgency, a man relaxes into it. His body no longer prepares, it receives. Guidance is not control, it is a reassurance. When you gently draw his hand closer, when you place it where you want it to rest, you remove the burden of guessing. Men appreciate clarity more than mystery in moments of closeness. You are not taking away his power, you are offering him a map. This is how men bond emotionally without words. In dating after 60, many women hesitate to guide, fearing it might feel too forward. But guidance, when done calmly, feels safe. It tells him he is welcome. It tells him he is doing it right. This is emotional intelligence expressed through touch. How to cuddle with a man at this stage of life is not about letting things happen randomly. It is about gentle leadership. When direction replaces uncertainty, intimacy becomes effortless. When a man no longer has to guess, something subtle shifts inside him, and the kind of closeness that follows is very different from anything rushed or accidental. 4. The geometry of closeness. Closeness is not only about how near two bodies are, but about how they are arranged in space. The body understands geometry long before the mind ever tries to explain it. In love after 60, this quiet physical intelligence becomes one of the strongest forms of communication. When two chests meet, something ancient wakes up. The sound of a heartbeat, the rise and fall of breath, creates a biological rhythm the nervous system recognizes as connection. I've seen how quickly a man's breathing slows when chest meets chest, how his body subtly adjusts to stay there longer. This is not romance in the dramatic sense, it is male intimacy psychology responding to safety and synchronization. Sometimes closeness speaks through smaller signals. A leg resting gently across his, skin touching skin, tells the body, we are together in this moment. Oxytocin does its quiet work there, the bonding hormone flowing without announcement. When face-to-face closeness feels too intense, shifting slightly toward the neck or the back of the head keeps intimacy alive without overwhelming the senses. The body appreciates options. One of the most intimate gestures I've ever witnessed was something very simple. A woman lightly scratched a man's scalp while resting against him. It was not seductive, it was caring. No one else in his life did that for him. His shoulders dropped almost immediately. His hand stayed where it was, not gripping, not wandering, just present. How men bond emotionally often reveals itself in these unguarded reactions. Movement matters too. Adjusting position does not mean rejection, it means listening to the body's needs in real time. Intimacy stays alive when it is flexible rather than fixed. How to cuddle with a man is often about noticing when closeness needs to change shape instead of forcing it to stay the same. In dating after 60, many women worry about doing something wrong, but emotional intelligence reminds us that bodies communicate honestly when we let them. The right position is the one that allows both people to remain relaxed and open. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how a small shift in position can completely change how close a moment feels? If that's happened to you, I'd love for you to share it below. Your reflection might help someone else see intimacy differently. When bodies find a position that feels right, closeness becomes less about holding on and more about being held by the moment itself. 5. The pullback and the exit. Have you ever noticed how closeness sometimes becomes more powerful the moment it begins to fade? In love after 60, this truth often surprises us because we were taught that intimacy means staying, holding, and lingering for as long as possible. But the body understands something deeper. Desire is not sustained by constant contact, it is sustained by choice. When closeness never shifts, never breathes, the nervous system stops registering it as special. Male intimacy psychology responds not only to presence, but to rhythm. A gentle pullback does not mean withdrawal, it means sovereignty. When you ease back just a few centimeters, when you allow space to reappear for a moment, the body registers that closeness is not automatic, it is chosen. That choice carries weight. It says, I am here because I want to be, not because I need to stay. Eye contact plays a quiet role here. A brief look, a soft smile, and then returning to closeness tells the nervous system that intimacy is alive, moving, responsive. This is how men bond emotionally, stays active rather than passive. Endings matter just as much as beginnings. How you leave a moment teaches the body what to remember. Rising slowly, letting your hand trail away instead of disappearing, creates a sense of unfinished warmth. It tells the nervous system the connection mattered enough to be handled with care. What you do next is just as important. Shifting immediately into tasks, plans, or conversation can break the emotional imprint too quickly. Allowing a moment of silence preserves the feeling. A gentle kiss, whether on the forehead or the lips, seals the experience without overstating it. Then you leave cleanly, without hesitation. In dating after 60, many women fear that creating space will weaken the connection. But space, when intentional, does the opposite. It creates longing. It leaves something behind that continues to echo after the body has moved away. And often it is that quiet echo that brings him back to the moment and to you long after it is ended.
I want to leave you with this quiet truth. Cuddling is not about holding a man in place. It is not about keeping him, convincing him, or anchoring him to you. When it is done with awareness, cuddling becomes something much deeper. It is a negotiation of care. It is the creation of an emotional imprint. When closeness is calm, intentional, and grounded in self-respect, a man does not remember the position or the moment itself. He remembers how peaceful he felt. He remembers how his body softened. He remembers the sense of coming home inside himself. And that is what draws him back. Not obligation, not effort, but memory. Yet this kind of intimacy only works when it stands on a solid foundation. Love after 60 asks us to bring dignity into closeness. It asks for standards. It asks for the courage to step away when we are not met with respect. Dating after 60 is not about clinging. It is about choosing connection without abandoning ourselves. There is wisdom in knowing when to stay, and equal wisdom in knowing when to leave. Senior love advice often avoids this balance, but emotional intelligence understands it well. True intimacy never asks you to shrink. It never asks you to endure less than you deserve. People are not searching for a body beside them. They are searching for an emotional home inside another person. When your presence offers peace without surrendering your worth, you become that place. If this conversation resonated with you, I invite you to gently support the channel by liking this video and subscribing to Wise Life After 60. It helps us continue sharing thoughtful reflections for this season of life. And if you feel moved, I hope you'll share your thoughts with us below. Until next time, take care of your spirit.